Jeff Galashaw. Where the hell are you? What are you binge watching The Pit? What are you sleeping in? What are you doing some manscaping, shaving your body right now? You should be here with me and my boy Andre, but thank you for the kind words on the podcast. God bless, brother.
Attention, fans of Unfinished Business Television, we're thrilled to announce our proud partnership with Super 7, the ultimate destination for collectors and pop culture enthusiasts alike. Visit super74.com/AJEPYX today. Use promo code AJEPYX, and let's keep the good times rolling here at Unfinished Business Television.
Do me a favor. Don't scream. Just hear what I've got to say.
See a tale from the crypt that is so terrifying it can only be seen at the movies. Tales from the Crypt presents
Now you can scream.
Demon Night, rated R. Now playing at theaters everywhere.
Hey, folks, welcome back to another brand spanking new episode of Unfinished Business Television. Deep dive. I am your host, Jeff Galashaw at Unfinished B2, or just Unfinished B2. You don't have to do the at. And with me, as always, is my co-host, Andre Joseph of AJFX Productions.
God damn it, get that pussy off the table.
That is not a line from The Naked Gun. This is actually the movie we are going to talk about is a fairly popular movie for those aficionados. I picked as a deep dive for this episode, Tales from the Crypt, Demon Night, because I feel like there's enough lore out there about Bordello of Blood. And, you know, who really wants to talk about Dennis Miller too much?
Not me.
Let's talk about where it kind of not necessarily all began, but where a promising start of a film franchise could have been. I mean, of course, there's a 1970s set Tales from the Crypt movie. That's an anthology that led to the television show eventually. But here, you know, they were like in between seasons. They wanted to make some money. So they were trying to figure out how could we make a movie out of maybe one of the premises of these episodes. And they found it in a script that had been going around Hollywood for years when it was just Demon Night. And Tom Holland, director, Tom Holland actually almost directed after the success of Child's Play, but decided to go with a different film. And this ended up, as they say, in development hell until, again, the producers were looking for something they could transfer to the screen under the original title, you know, of Tales from the Crypt. And they found this script because they liked the mix of that it has horror, but there's comedic elements to it and kind of an action film because, after all, it's more of a siege movie than anything that just happens to have supernatural elements. Now, I have a lot to say because obviously leading up to the show, rewatched the film, and I am happy to say I find this film as fun as when I saw it in theaters. And this is another film which I saw more than once in theaters. And I think I respect it even more to this day for what was achieved with the budget and I guess the cast that they had, because this film is filled with character actors galore whose characters are each interesting in their own way, even if, you know, they're a little bit one or two dimensional. I mean, come on. What other film are you going to see Dick Miller in prosthetics? You know, which he hated, you know, out of all the films he's done in his life. But I mean, this was William Sadler's time to shine after being in so many Tales from the Crypt episodes. And he's the protagonist here. This is the film that made Billy Zane. Okay? Because before this, no offense to him, he was in a lot of stuff, but he was always in the background, the menacing, good-looking guy. And this is also where he came out with the bald look, because I know that when he had meetings for this film, he actually brought a suitcase full of wigs, asking them which one did they want him to go with. And the producers are like, "We kind of like you, how you are, bald." And so this is the first time Billy Zane appears on screen actually bald. Now, to get into the plot more, since I'm telling you all these details, this film is about a drifter who seems to be on the run. At first, we think from the law, after a dazzling opening, and he happens to run into like kind of a no-tell motel type place, or a bed and breakfast if you want, where he meets all these strange characters while still being hunted by this bounty hunter. And once he gets there, it is revealed that this bounty hunter is otherworldly and wants this key, this cross with blood in it, that seems to be his weakness. And now it becomes a siege movie because he seals him from the outside after Billy Zane's demon character raises all these demons from the ground to attack. And basically, they're supposed to make it to the morning. But of course, Billy Zane and his minions all, have the power of seduction to try and get this cross. It's a very gory film, but again, other than the supernatural elements, it still more feels like an action film through and through, and a siege film at that. And I remember I had like a whole magazine that was devoted to the behind the scenes making of this film. And, I was a fan from the beginning. And just watching it again, it endears itself to me, and I think it's another film that needs to be seen and talked about more. The only weakness of the film really is obviously it's dated. So some of the special effects are a little more obvious now, especially like when they shoot the zombies in the eyes and the lightning bolts. That's a little like you guys could have did better. But there is so much I can say and love about this film. So this might be a little longer than usual episode because I got tons of thoughts and trivia. But Andre, what is your history with Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knights, and
Well, I was a huge Tales from the Crypt fan as a kid, and especially the early seasons, like the Demi Moore episode, the one with Bobcat Goldthwait and the ventriloquist, and Harry Anderson as the animator. I loved that stuff. I loved how imaginative those episodes were, the twist endings, actors being able to play against type, even the ones they did where it was like a big name actor was getting their shot at directing, like Michael J. Fox directed an episode, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Tom Hanks before That Thing You Do. That was one of his first directing efforts. So I was a huge Tales from the Crypt fan through and through. And so it was a big event when Demon Knight was coming out. And deep down, I wanted to see it, but kind of like the issue that I was having recently with the new Tron movie, I just couldn't get past William Sadler as a good guy, just because I was so used to him playing villains and playing racists in movies. And the only other thing I saw him do where he was a good guy was Death in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. So that's probably the one reason I did not see it in the theater. And I have to also say, full disclosure, that I had to bear witness to seeing William Sadler live in a production of Julius Caesar with Denzel Washington and William Sadler playing the title character. And at one point, he gets disrobed. So you see his bare ass on stage. So yeah, I had to see his pale white ass, not in shape, and I'm not gay. And I have to sit through this. But Denzel ran past me at one point before the intermission. So that was cool. Anyway, so Demon Knight, I only saw in bits and pieces on TV over the years. Unfortunately, I saw all of Bordello of Blood before this film. Working for Angie Everhart, not so much for Dennis Miller. He's a piece of shit. So this was actually the first time watching Demon Knight all the way through. And right away, the nostalgia wave hit me with reusing the title theme, the sequence with the Crypt Keeper, and then the bit with John Larroquette as, sort of the psycho homage in the beginning. That stuff just brought a smile to my face because I have not watched Tales from the Crypt in years. So it was like really taking me back to my childhood. And the movie itself, I agree with you. It is a lot of fun. And it reminds me of the things that I miss about horror movies of that generation, that if you have a low budget, you could really get a lot of mileage with just few characters, practical effects, little bit of optical effects that are not flashy but work well within the realm of the story, especially doing like the thing with the doors and putting the blood to keep the demons from coming through. The demon makeup was fantastic, and that's something I miss in movies today is those kind of practical costumes and prosthetics. And the other thing I also like, William Sadler's great. Billy Zane steals the show. And even Entanglement herself, Jada Pinkett, was very good as that quasi lead in the final act. But what I really liked about it was that you cared about everybody. You know, you cared about the prostitute, you cared about CCH Pounder, especially when she loses her arm. You care about Charlie Flesher, you know, especially at one point I thought he got possessed when they killed the one demon and the green thing comes into his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So I was expecting something there, but you care about him, you care about Dick Miller. Definitely shocked about the little kid. I thought he was going to survive it, only watching this for the first time in its entirety, not realizing what was going to happen with him. And yeah, it's gory as hell, but everybody's so good. Even Thomas Hayden Church being the dickhead in the whole group is very good. You don't like his character. You love to see him get killed at the end. So yeah, everything about it really is phenomenal. And Ernest Dickerson, he gets his flowers for this. Unfortunately, he followed this up with Bulletproof, which wasn't so fun. But this is where I think he really thrives, where his cinematography style gets meshed with something as artistically pleasing to look at as a horror picture, and it's Tales from the Crypt. I mean, nothing beats that feeling.
Well, it's also one of the few films that has a black female final girl
Yes.
in it. I mean, she's not determined to be the final girl because one of the things he again, spoiler alert, before William Sadler's character passes, is that you have to turn down the seduction by the demon to, you know, even be considered part of, I guess, who somebody who he can pass the key on to. So I'm just like, so that meant Bob the deputy, for instance, could have. We never see him try to be seduced, but we just assume, you know, since he was one of the people who never got changed or got killed early, there was that temptation, just like when CCH Pounder's character gets tempted and turns down, you know, the seduction. Um, my thing with this film, I mean, like I said, only the only bad part is maybe like under today's lens is the effects, you know, which I like the practical effects, but again, watching the film now when you're used to all this advanced technology, it's like, oh, this is kind of like, you know, a throwback. But that's also one of its charms because again, not everything has to be digital or so realistic. Like again, Galactus does not, we don't physically have to represent Galactus. You know, I like days where that was thought to be impossible. Um, I like it, you know, the film actually has African American characters who don't die first, nor are, you know, get the most violent deaths in movies. You know, it does keep that whole sacrificing yourself element of black characters, but, you know, again, it's still a movie no matter what. Um, I think nobody ever get CCH Pounder. She never gets credit. She's been in so many movies, television shows, and then when she's interviewed, you're shocked she's British. You know, she's never been asked to play a British character, even though she's naturally British. So that always amazed me about her. I kind of I kind of felt bad when they got rid of John. I think it's Schwab as the sheriff. And
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, I remember him from Macmillan and Wife. I remember him from playing Herman Munster in Munsters today. So, and realistically, at the time, he was one of the more recognizable faces in this film. They just like, oh, well, we got to get rid of him. But that's also the beauty of the film. You can see the three-act structure as you watch the film. And especially if you've seen the film before with somebody who doesn't, you know, like, oh, here comes the thing that's going to shock them. This is where the chaos starts. And you could also tell when it kind of winds down. even though like the end thing where he's trying to romance Jada Pinkett's character
Yeah.
is a little silly, but I understand we got to make runtime, you know, and just putting her in the shower and having water run over her a little, and all of a sudden she's clean. I was just like, really? But again,
We had to
it's a
have her in
movie.
her underwear for the eyes for the
Oh,
guys.
of course, that's the exploitive part. Just like
Yeah.
I love how all Tales from the Crypt movies have a scene of just Playboy playmates topless for no real reason. In Bordello of Blood, when they go into the bordello, you have them all these prostitutes and then here for Uncle Willie's fantasy, you have all these topless women.
Oh
And
yeah, that was great.
yeah, well, you get a young Tracy Bingham too. One of
Hmm.
her first movies. I'm sure Dick Miller wasn't complaining either. But my thing was just that I know he's an alcoholic, but he sells out kind of easily. You know, just
Yeah.
to have a drink. That was it. You know, I'm just like, okay. And I since we have an interview coming up, this that sequence is a perfect parody of what beer commercials were like in the 80s and 90s. And I even like how playful Billy Zane was in it. Um this was the first time I saw Thomas Hayden Church in a role that I remember because I hated the show Wings. So I never watched it. So this will always be one of the roles I'd bring up to him that I love. And it has like those weird sex scene, like him being electrocuted in the bedroom.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like where the fudge did that even come from?
Mhm.
And another sexy role by Brenda Bach because she did the same in what was it, Hot Shots 2.5
Mhm.
and Under Siege 2.
And there's these.
I'm just like, oh man. So it's fair to say she was kind of typecast in the 90s, but
I
like
wonder what her audition for Under Siege 2 looked like.
just play the tape of this movie. It's or Hot Shots too. You know, it was like you're pretty much getting the same role, except you survive. Well, not in Under Siege 2, but
No.
you know, but either way, it's like I just like this film, especially for Dick Miller. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Though William Sadler is good, but if he would have said no, I totally could have seen Bill Paxton playing the role too.
Yeah, he has that Bill Paxton look to him.
Yeah, that like kind of Midwest drifter, you know, kind of has charm but could be dangerous.
It's all
You
about
know,
the gold.
and you know, that cat thing, like her cat in the movie, that got
Yeah.
annoying to me because, like, if you're not gonna make this cat possessed, what the hell? You know, I'm tired of it. Let's see, what trivia did I write down for this? Let's see, found her.
I think I read somewhere because I have the book about Richard Donner. Because originally the plan also was that Donner, Walter Hill, and Robert Zemeckis were all supposed to direct some of these movies, and I think I could be wrong. Donner was going to direct this at one point before they gave it to Ernest Dickerson, and he didn't do it because he was doing Maverick at the time.
That would have been different. But I also imagine again, since Donner really was more like a studio director,
Yeah,
I just
I don't think
wonder,
it would have worked for him.
yeah, like who would he have cast? Because he's so used to working with stars. So it would have been like, I feel like we would have got a big star in the William Sadler role where you would have already known he's not the villain, even though he's being treated like one from the beginning. I mean, Billy Zane probably could have made the cut still, but I don't know who would have. And what is with him in the 90s and playing villains who get eye injuries? It's
I didn't think
because,
about
yeah, because I was like sitting here when they shoot him in the eye towards the end, and I'm just like, it's the same thing as the boss, as Posse. It's like, what is with
that.
you guys in his eye? It's, I know, like, this is one of his favorite roles that he played. And I hate to say it, it is one of the more memorable ones that he played. But I've heard, like, James Cameron saw this, and that's why he got Titanic, because he was so good in this. You know, because he can play that aristocrat, but yet villain, but also good looking enough that you could believe somebody would go for him. So,
Well, they
I
paid
mean,
him after this to do the Phantom.
uh, yeah,
That's
that
what
was a
at the
big.
Dollar Theater.
Yeah, I never even saw that movie to this day. I've seen it in bits and pieces, but even I would have been like, I know maybe he was like, oh, another lead role. But I was like, man, you should have Yeah, that was one you should have turned down.
Everybody watched it and they're like, yeah, Billy Zane. Oh, who's that Catherine Zeta-Jones?
Exactly. And she's the only one who got picked out of that movie.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, I also like the style in which it's directed. It feels like what it's supposed to be, Tales from the Crypt, because it feels like a comic book.
Yeah.
With all the colors, like I think it's like they're dripping like green that glows in the dark, which
Mhm.
is glow stick liquid. I'm like I said, I'm sure Dick Miller did not complain about his seduction scene. One thing I got the soundtrack automatically after
Yeah.
seeing this movie because I remember Cemetery Gates by Pantera and the Gravedigger Suicide Solution, which plays during Jada Pinkett's seduction scene.
The
Um,
soundtrack is what I remember the most because of the TV spots. They had Hey Man, Nice Shot by Filter, which was also used a lot in the wrestling company ECW's promos back then.
Now, did that play in the opening scene? And
Yes, yeah, right in the opening scene after the Crypt Keeper intro.
yeah, I like that it has the random cameos. Like this film had John Larroquette in the beginning, and
Mhm.
then when you watch Bordello of Blood, Whoopi Goldberg's in it
Yeah.
just randomly. Now, was John Larroquette ever in a Tales from the Crypt episode?
I feel like he had to be because both Sadler and Zane had played different characters on that show, and then they brought Sadler back for Bordello of Blood as a completely different character for the Crypt Keeper intro. I can't say off the top of my head, but I feel like he had.
Okay. And also, why does no one go to their room in this movie?
Mhm.
Like, soon as he comes in, everybody's like, let's all stay in the lobby. Except for like when Cordelia goes to sleep with Thomas
Yeah,
Hayden
that's the
Church.
only time.
And if everybody knows she's a prostitute, how is she making money in this town other than regular? And
Where do they all have their money?
well, Charles Fleischer had just gotten fired from the post office. And so, um, trying to think who the other people who were living
How's
there.
Dick Miller afford alcohol?
Yeah, well, you see, he just hangs out in alleys. Maybe he's waiting for like half full people to throw away half full stuff. And
Maybe a half bottle of piss.
he couldn't tell the difference. All it was liquid and it came in an alcohol bottle. That seemed to be all that mattered to him. And then, and the kids' parents get kind of taken over, and we only see them like in those weird tunnels. And my thing, I guess it fits in. Did Thomas Hayden Church's character have to be so stupid though? It's
Yeah, he was just a prototypical the guy that always dies at the end of every episode.
because it was just like, that dude's an asshole. Like he too willingly wanted to shoot his boss, even though you're with his child. And then he wants to sell out. Even halfway in the film, he's already ready to sell. Like, yeah, let's get the cross and just I say we get out of here. After you like threw Charles Fleischer's crush to the wolves, you really thought he was gonna go with your plan. And and you kind of feel sorry for Charles Fleischer until you find out at the end, oh, he was gonna, blow up. He's gonna go postal, which was popular at the time. So that's how at least it tied in to more modern day times. I just like that it was so committed to surprising the audience, but also making them laugh at the same time. Like, I don't know why, but to this day, the scene where Billy Zane has the sponge in his mouth, I don't know why that so interests me. Like, I just wonder how long did he have to have it in his mouth before that? How did he get it to roll perfectly out at the time? And like, was it like coughing? Because he supposedly came up with that as an improv. So I'm just like, I don't know. I just really, really enjoyed this film. I would say if any of those three directors would have made it, I think Walter Hill, this would have fit in more with his
Walter Hill
kind
would
of,
have fit the most.
and the sex scenes would have been longer, and there would have been more nudity. It's like
Don't give it to
CCA.
Michael Winter.
Oh, oh well, yes. This movie does not. One thing this movie does not need: sexual assault. It's, did you know they originally wanted Cameron Diaz for the Jada Pinkett role? And
No, and I don't think that would have worked.
Obviously, it would not have worked. But yeah, originally, since she was hot off the mask, they wanted to offer her the role, just like how originally they wanted they wanted William Sadler's character to be African American, and so that the theme of the film would have been that this can only be passed among black people because we would be the ones who would be the keepers of the faith to keep the demons out of Earth and saving the world. So you should have known the studio was going to be like, oh hell no.
Yeah, if that was the case, you cast Zakes Moe to play the part.
That would have been interesting, but they would, at the time they would have been like Denzel. And then
Yeah, I think
everybody would have been
Zakes
like,
was dead by that point. I don't remember.
if not, he wouldn't have been able to do the action. Or worse, no offense to Danny Glover, but that's who they, especially with Richard Donner directing. He's like, who do I know who's black?
Yeah.
Because they're not giving it to Art Evans at the time. Like, I'd be like, whoa, Art Evans is a badass in this. Who knew he could kill Billy Zane so fast? And be shorter than the rest of the cast and still be a hero. It would have truly inspired me. If Art
I'll
Evans
admit, a little disappointing at the end when she gets on the bus and now the devilish demon is now a black dude. Not because it's a black dude, but because they got like a no-name guy to play it. I thought that would have been a perfect cameo for somebody big
True.
at that time, like a Wesley Snipes or a Michael Wright type of actor.
Exactly. Instead, it's just like so disposable. And it's like, nah, I'll take the next one. And then he just whistles the tail. I guess that's meant to be the end, the whistling of the Tales from the Crypt theme. But my thing is, now, according to the lore, anytime she goes any place,
Could have done that. He was still alive.
Exactly. Now, as she's got to look for, anytime she's in a place with 7 people or more, he gets attacked. I'm like, this makes no sense. So she goes to a big city. She's just fucked overall.
Yeah.
So she needs to do something like Final Destination, the last one, where she's just in a cabin.
Die of cancer.
Exactly. And then maybe when she's on her last leg, that's like, I gotta find 7 people so I can pass this on. And what if you don't die bloody? Because the whole thing is you need to fill the thing up with your blood. And not to mention, what happens? Okay, now that she's on the road, now you're telling me William Sadler, all these years, has only used a little bit of blood?
Yeah.
Because you need it from the last survivor. It's not like you can make yourself bleed and be like, oh, I can fill it up again. So that's why I'm like, so Jada's got to survive, and she's already using it on the bus. And now it feels like everywhere she's gonna go, let me drop a little, let me drop a little. And unless she took a canteen and drained him, she can't like keep filling it up. So that would have been a good scene to show. Like, oh, she got reserves. So, but yeah, I love this film. Another film which I think people know about, but I think needs to get some respect. I mean, I know there was, of course, the planned trilogy because I think the sequel was supposed to be something called Dirty Money or something. And then there was supposed to be Body Count. And then it ended up just being Bordel of Blood, which was more campy and comedic or meant to be than, one of the more serious or scary episodes. And then I think they did a movie called Ritual, which was unofficially a Tales from the Crypt movie, but it wasn't a real Tales from the Crypt movie. So
they just shot a thing to add to it later in home video that they could say it was Tales from the Crypt. It really wasn't.
Yeah, because I know, like, I really was looking forward to the sequels and this being a film franchise. And I wish maybe it had come out today because it definitely would have went forward, if not in studios. Someplace like Netflix would have given them money and, put this through. And
I would argue that this was really the last hurrah for Tales from the Crypt because I feel like after this, and I know just from my own experience watching the show, that the later episodes, like 95, 96, 97, it wasn't as good. They started to tone down a lot of the violence. The directors weren't as talented.
Well, didn't they also go to like start doing the episodes from over in England, and also like more European actors were used, so it wasn't like, oh, this was shot in Los Angeles. And
Yeah, there was like episodes with Ewan McGregor
yeah, I
and a few
remember
other
that one.
English actors. It just wasn't as it didn't feel like an event like the earlier episodes where he's like, oh, Michael J. Fox is directing the episode, or Christopher Reeve's playing a guy that's cooking people in a diner. You've kind of lost that essence.
Well, and that's the thing it was actors you wouldn't expect, like you said,
Right.
broke type, and it's some of their most memorable work. Because other than, no offense to the late great Christopher Reeve, but I more remember him for, yeah, obviously Superman and Street Smart. But
Mhm.
other than that, I'm like, but I remember his episode on Tales from the
It's
Crypt,
true.
and interesting. And was it the one with Judd Nelson?
Yeah, Judd Nelson was in the same episode.
Exactly. This was like some of the last great work Judd Nelson was really memorable in. So you have all these actors who did like such a great work. What was it? Michael Lerner.
Mhm.
You know, like, okay, I'm not going to go into all the actors, then people be like, well, what
Yeah.
about this person? But yeah, and that's the whole thing. I feel like even nowadays, with all these actors wanting to play different types, and in this deep set of like studio films, I feel you need a series like this that is a little bit more unpredictable, where you can basically do anything you want in one episode, and you don't have to worry about like, oh, the next episode we have to explain this.
Yeah, I mean, no offense to Black Mirror. I know Black Mirror is phenomenal, and I've
Yeah.
watched my share of episodes, but there's something about shows like Tales from the Crypt and The Hitchhiker you don't get now. And I think it really is the fact that they just were able to attract such big names, both on director side and in front of the camera, who just were against type. They were actually able to explore and have fun and not be constrained by, well, so and so's only this kind of actor, or this director can only do this type of sci-fi movie. And this is their chance to show they could do something different.
Yeah, it's sort of like when you compare, let's say, the Twilight Zone to like
You know,
Tales from the Dark Side. It's, kind of the same, but not as sharp, or not as powerful, or with its sheen. I mean, shoot, you could compare to Monsters, but Monsters just feels like a junior high school production for some odd reason. Looking back at it now, it's like, oh my, was this supposed to be scary? Like, what was up with that? But no, but I say, if you're looking for something with tons of character actors, fun, silly, I'm not gonna say this film is scary. It's not.
It's not really scary.
But it is gory. It's violent. And you just want to see some character actors, and back when Jada Pinkett was standable, before she was hated, and before the some procedures,
Mhm.
because it's like this movie and A Low Down Dirty Shame, her most memorable work. And
Yeah.
and like I said, after this movie, I wanted to see more. Not like how you saw more William Sadler, but I wanted to see more William Sadler in movies. The only thing missing in this movie would have been if they could have got Steve Rails back somewhere in here, or if Charles Dance wasn't as older as he was. If you can't get Billy Zane, get Charles Dance so he could say, "And now the game has begun."
How about you? I feel like a lot of black people really like working with William Sadler for some reason.
It's because you wouldn't expect it. Because, like you said, you think, oh, he's going to be this redneck. And then you find out, oh, no, he's a classically trained theater actor. And it's
Yeah,
like,
everybody I've spoken to, they say he's a really nice guy.
he comes across as, well, I mean, in interviews, I don't know him personally or from his roles, but he seems like a nice guy. I mean, he's worked all these years. He can't be a total asshole.
No.
And then, like, but I racked up all these roles,
Mhm.
And like I said, it's just easy. I guess since he can do a believable Southern accent, it's like villain, racist, or you work for the villain of Die Hard 2. Because I don't remember who the exact main villain was in that
Oh,
movie.
Franco Nero. He was General Esperanza, or whatever his name was.
Yeah, it's like there's so many people who turn. And so it's like,
John
what was the
Amos
actual-
cutting somebody's throat.
yeah, it's like, is John Amos the boss? Is this guy the boss?
The
Which one
McDowell's
is he?
guy is a bad guy? What the fuck?
Well, that's because we're not used to the black guy being a villain.
Yeah.
You know, hey, Jim Brown and freaking Running Man.
Now
You
it's
know,
that though.
well, what was worse was that wig they gave him, that flat top.
Oh yeah.
So
Like you
I'm
really
just like,
needed it.
I was just glad that people were represented. Though I feel like now I'd be on the side like, oh, so nobody could be Hispanic in the Midwest, Native American up in here.
No
It's
Clifton Gonzalez.
I remember when he was Clifton Gonzalez Gonzalez.
Oh, Clifton Collins Jr.
Exactly. He's had many name changes, except he always kept Clifton. I
He's
say
got 99 names.
exactly. He should do a film with Clifton Powell, Clifton Davis. It'll be just called the Cliftons.
Bringing the
So
boxes, bringing the bridges.
exactly. This could be another The Young Riders movie. And you bring
Mhm.
in Walter Hill, so it becomes full circle.
Oh man, that'll be wonderful.
So I'm like, but yeah, if you enjoy your horror, a little goofy, if you enjoy Tales from the Crypt or you enjoy any of these anthology series, this is the film for you. It's sort of like Miracle Mile was originally supposed to be a Twilight Zone movie, and it fits perfectly in that type of kind of period and ambiance and mood. This fits perfectly with everything that Tales from the Crypt was. You know, please don't remake it. It's not really that hard to remake it because
I
again,
don't think you can remake it. They would just like use the name. They tried to bring back Tales from the Crypt numerous times, but without the Crypt Keeper, and it never ever got to the filming stage.
oh yeah, because it's sort of like whenever you hear things like remember Goonies too, you always keep hearing the plan, but you're not seeing any movement. And
Yeah. They
but
want
then
to do it now, but I don't think it's ever going to really work if they try.
while stranger things have happened, we all thought Beetlejuice 2 was going to be BS, and then all of a sudden it's actually being made. You know, so.
How much are they going to keep Corey from doing dope?
I don't think he's on dope now. I think he's just addicted to himself, you know,
Mhm.
and selling his story as a victim. You know, I think if anything, that might be his problem. But we still love to talk to you, Corey. You know,
Yeah, come on the show, Corey.
yes, we want to hear your side of the story. And so, but I highly recommend this for anybody who's on the fence or hasn't seen this. It's fun. It's chill. You know, and especially if you're a little bit our age, I think the nostalgia really hits while watching this.
And not only do I highly recommend this movie, I highly recommend you go back and watch Tales from the Crypt. The episodes are on YouTube. I think one of these, maybe HBO Max might be streaming them. But if you could find the uncut episodes of those early
Oh
seasons,
yeah.
it is well worth the watch.
Yeah, it'll surprise you, some of them. So I say definitely watch the movie, watch the show, and unfortunately, we must leave you. But as you know, there's always more deep dives to be had. But we also want to wish you guys a happy and safe Halloween with all the things that are going on in the world. Please just take care of yourselves this Halloween season. And until next time, that ends our time in the deep dive.
If you like this review, please be sure to like and hit subscribe to be alerted to new episodes in the future.